In 2019, there was this proposal by the mayor of Amsterdam to put curtains behind the windows of brothels in the Amsterdam red light district so that people wouldn't be able to see the prostitutes from the street. Now, I'm not really interested in the red light district in itself for obvious reasons, nor whether or not this legislation has been passed. To give some background information, the red light district is an international tourist attraction. People all over the world come here to see it. I was once in Amsterdam years ago. On my way to the central station, I encountered a black guy with his girlfriend, also a black woman, and he asked me, where's the red light district? And I pointed them where it was, but I was a bit shocked that he, that was in a relationship, was interested to go and see it. But, okay. A side note. The red light districts all over the world are a symptom. A symptom of what, you may ask? A symptom of sexual shame. Let me explain. If you convince, I'm going to give a parable now, and this parable sounds very dumb, but this parable that sounds quite dumb will show the situation around human sexuality at the moment for what it is. Let's say someone will tell you you're not allowed to drink water. Drinking water is something very distasteful, it's very ugly. It's low life to drink water. Yes, you need to have water, but instead of water, you drink Kool-Aid or you drink apple juice or whatever. Don't drink water. Ever. So, you tell this to children, they grow up not drinking water, avoiding water. But their bodies crave water naturally. Around 70% of their bodies consist out of water. So it's natural for them to long for water. And then there are those who become sick. They have kidney problems because they don't drink enough fresh water. And then their solution, you go to the hospital to get some supplements. And then there are those who think, come on, this is BS. I consist of 70% out of water and I'm not allowed to drink fresh water. And they go off into the wild to get fresh water. And for doing that, they're punished by society. But at least they are relatively healthier than the common man or woman. But even those that go into the wild to drink fresh water eventually don't want to talk about it. Why? Because they want to belong to society, and in society there's a norm. You don't drink fresh water. You drink what the society provides to you. If you go out of the norms of society to get what you want, that means you're unthankful, you're ungrateful, you're a piece of trash, and you deserve to die. That's the attitude. Now, what if you have someone in that society that comes with facts and shows people that this aversion for fresh water is actually pathological, and that nobody in their right mind would condition their people to hate fresh water, even though they crave fresh water every day. That is the condition when it comes to human sexuality. We are conditioned by this world to forfeit ourselves and to allow society to define who and what we are. Our self-worth and value are supposed to be determined by society. That's what we're told. Even though that's not true. Because our self-worth is determined by Christ, the Creator. However, the world, who is anti-Christ, tells you that you're nothing at all without the permission of society. And they use your natural vulnerabilities and weaknesses against you to force you to comply with agendas that go against your long-term well-being. Imagine the following scenario. You're walking in the streets. You're a guy, or let's say you're a woman. This is a bit more graphic, but let's say you're a woman, you walk in the streets, and suddenly a group of 20 men begin to follow you. And you run away eventually because they keep on coming after you. And when you're at home, you think you're safe, but when you enter your home, they're there in your home. They broke in. And they're all naked. One of them has a gun, and he tells you that you know what you have to do. And if you resist, it will hurt more, and you may even die. So you have no choice but to give in to whatever relief they're seeking at your expense. That's the attitude of society. You're only allowed to exist when you give in to the program that people don't question. So you condition the world's population to forfeit themselves. That means you condition people to operate in rejection. And here's the thing. Sexuality is the core of our being as spirit beings. We are spirit beings and sexual beings. Sexuality is the core of our being. That's why we're male and female. And part of sexuality is vulnerability. That's how sexuality works. Everyone needs to acknowledge and embrace their vulnerabilities, and that's how people work together, live together, and that's how we build strong and healthy communities. What happens when you traumatize someone from a very young age to forfeit themselves? So to look for compensation for their vulnerabilities and weaknesses instead of embracing those vulnerabilities and weaknesses. Because those vulnerabilities and weaknesses are designed in us by God so that God's glory and strength is magnified through us. But the world, who's run by demons, don't want that. Demons want to feed out of us so that they can become relevant. So demons will never teach you anything that will benefit you in the long run. So they condition you to think that your natural vulnerabilities and weaknesses are an abomination and therefore your enemy, and that you need to fight hard to overcome your natural weaknesses so that you're accepted by society. But here's the problem. If you do not embrace your natural vulnerabilities and weaknesses, you can't remain sexually healthy. That's not possible. So, sexual shame is imputed in you by the world. And you're not aware it has been imputed in you. It's not something that belongs in you, but it's something he's put in you by tricking you to see your own vulnerabilities and weaknesses as the facts that needs to be rectified. And that's not true at all. And those pagan churches help with this also. So, if you have a whole population spread throughout various continents, speaking various languages, they have various skin tones, but 99% of them have sexual shame, what's going to happen? It's going to lead to violence sooner or later. Because that shame is a burden we're not supposed to carry. So what do you do then? You want them to have sexual shame because that enables you to control them. But that sexual shame is also self-destructive. So you give them an outlet for that sexual shame so that they don't notice that they even have sexual shame to begin with. They need to be conditioned to think that sexual shame is not sexual shame, but that's decency, or that's sexually immoral. So what you do then to give people an outlet for the sexual shame is that you take several women and men, sometimes even children, you victimize them in a ritual way, and then they become so sexually defective that people are shocked when people encounter them. And because those ritual sex victims are so defective and so distorted in their behavior, people are going to reflect on themselves after seeing them, and they're going to see that they are better off. So now the population gets narcissistic supply by being exposed to prostitutes and people who are quote-unquote sexually loose. And today, that same mechanism has been translated with the creation of the LGBT community. Yes, that is why the LGBT community is protected so much. It's not because they care that much about gays, lesbians, transgenders, and all of that. No. The real purpose of the LGBT community, from a sociological point of view, is to give narcissistic supply to the majority of the population that is straight but sexually defective. So the majority of the population is sexually defective, even if they remain attracted to the opposite sex. But you don't want them to see that they are defective, because then they're going to ask, how come that I'm defective? Then they need to realize, okay, this has been going on for generations, and then they'll be exposed to the plan. And then when they see how ugly the plan is, they'll think, you know what? I don't want to be meat to evil spirits. Let me choose Christ, the real king. You don't want that. So you condition the masses in sexual shame, and at the same time you victimize a small, tiny portion of them so much, and you put those victims in the open, and then everyone is shocked by the blunt sexual defectiveness that they won't consider that they are defective also. And that's how you keep them in sexual shame, and you keep them in darkness, and demons have a grip on them. So red light districts are a symptom of sexual shame. And that symptom will always resurface as long as the root is not dealt with. And the root of it is unbelief. Unbelief is the root of it. Unbelief is the root of all sexual violence and all sexual defectiveness. You are conditioned not to trust God. You are conditioned to rely on society. You are conditioned to see yourself as nothing and society as everything. If you want acceptance from society, then you'll become a narcissistic addict. That means you'll become someone that relies on narcissistic supply to be at ease mentally. That's what you become when you conform completely to society. So, don't look at the fruit alone. The fruit is there, but the fruit is an outworking of the root. What is the root? And the root is most human beings don't know how to handle sexuality. It's not their fault. It's a generational curse that's been haunting us for, I would say, thousands of years. Nevertheless, they are responsible to face the situation and to look for deliverance. Let's go back to the example I gave about people not being allowed to drink fresh water. In that example, it's obvious how ridiculous that expectation of society is. But when it comes to sexuality, which is the core of our being as spirit beings, we just swallow the restriction without questioning it. Something's wrong here. Yes, I know this is a controversial subject, and those controversial subjects should be addressed because those controversial subjects affect us. If you're not willing to face things as they are in a constructive way to contribute to solutions, then you are on the wrong YouTube channel. Look for another channel where you can get relief and where you're not challenged in your thinking. Here, I'm sharing facts and truths to you so that you'll be free to glorify the Heavenly Father. That's it for now. Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.